What's up guys, welcome back to Tempe Creek, where we talk about our vineyard, winery, and small farm operations. If you're into that sort of content, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our future content. It's a weird way to say it. Anyways guys, today we're going to go ahead and answer the question is, when is your wine done? I think this is a really important question. I get asked this a lot. I lurk on all those Facebook and Reddit forums for quite a bit, and I see a lot of the same questions being asked. Hey, is this done? What should I do? When should I bottle? We're going to go ahead and try to tackle that question here today, at least my perspective on when you should bottle and when is your wine actually done. While I answer that question, guys, I am going to go ahead and check my gravity on one of my wines that I have going on. I think it's appropriate to kind of do that. We'll do that together as I try to answer your question of when is the wine completed. So here we have some blood orange that we've tried to ferment. We've been experimenting with a bunch of fruit wines. I actually had a lot of issues with this one. I basically, long story short, I was really tired and I put too much sulfites in this bad boy. And so the fermentation has stalled, and I've been trying to air it out and kind of lower the amount of sulfites. It's working now. But I'm going to go ahead and check gravity on it and see if it's actually done. Which brings us to our question. How do we know when our wine is done? The simple truth of it, guys, is really your wine typically is done whenever it's done for fermenting. Which is typically about 5 to 10 days. It depends on what you're doing. If you just start off with all your sugar in there and let the yeast do its thing all the way to the end, probably 5 days. If you're step feeding, it's going to be a little bit longer. If you're doing reds, it's going to be a little bit longer as you let the skin sit for a little bit longer. Essentially, but most fermentation is somewhere between that 5 to 10, maybe 14 days period. Once your gravity is below 1, then you know your yeast is done and you're fermented all the way to dry. Let's go ahead and check out where my blood orange is right now so that we can see if this one is done or not. Don't let my wife, don't tell my wife, guys. If you come by and you visit the tasting room, don't tell my wife that happened. She doesn't watch my video, so it's cool. Alright, trying to get this bad boy open. There we go. I'm finally able to do it. I can actually still smell the sulfites coming off of this. I'm not too worried about getting air exposure because there is so much sulfites in this that I'm actually having the opposite issue. And smelling it, you get that sulfite sort of rotten egg sort of sulfur sort of smell. And again, that's just because I just need to air it out. I need to rack it a couple times to try to release some of that sulfites. But along with that, I can actually still smell some of the fruit in it. Some of the fruitiness is still there. And again, guys, so let's go ahead and check out our yeast. I don't know, let's see if we can zoom in and get a close-up. Alright guys, sorry about that. My camera ran out of batteries, and so we're back in the warehouse now. To answer the question, when is your wine done? Very quite simply, basically whenever fermentation is done. That blood orange that we are doing is not quite done yet. It's at a 1.01, so just about under 1. But wasn't quite ready. Probably give it another day or so to actually finish. So even though technically once it gets under 1, it is technically done fermenting, that doesn't mean that is when your wine is done. I am a lurker in a lot of these forums for winemakers, and some of the stuff I hear is outrageous. They take their wine and they hold on to it for 1 or 2 years. They only did like a couple gallons to begin with, and I just feel like that's too long to wait for you to experience your wine, especially when you're doing those low quantities. Something that from my perspective makes more sense is that once you find your wine is actually tasting good, usually some point after the 3-month mark. Some wines get better with age. Some wines you want to oak more heavily, and so that's going to be part of the waiting process. But in general, for home winemakers, in my opinion, after the 3 months mark, you're looking for, does my wine taste good? Once your wine tastes good and it's to the point where you want, I would say bottle it at that point. Any point after 3 months and it's good and it's what you want, bottle it. Because here's the thing, guys, just because you bottle it, it doesn't mean it stops aging. It doesn't. So even if you wanted to wait 2 years to drink that bottle, it still ages inside the bottle. So what I would say is, once your wine is where you want it to be and it tastes good, bottle it. And personally, if I only did like 2 gallons of something and I wanted to experience the changes along the way, what I would do is once every month pop up one of those bad boys and see what it tastes like. You know, because there's no guarantee that after 2 years that wine is gonna be really good anyways. That sweet spot might have been at like in 1.5 years, and you waited 2 years, and now you have bad wine that you've had forever, and that you're probably gonna force yourself to drink because of the amount of effort and time you waited. So really, guys, after the 10 days, wait 3 months is kind of like what we do, and then get it to a good point and then bottle it. And your wine will age in the bottle. It doesn't have to only bulk age. So guys, what I would say is drink it sooner rather than later, unless you're really holding on to something because you're really proud of something specific. But in general, sooner rather than later. I hope that answers your question, guys, about when is your wine done. If you haven't done so already, do all the things that you're supposed to do. Clicky, click, 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 click. And I'll see you on the next one, guys.